Michael Chen, a quiet elderly man, enters a prestigious car dealership only to be dismissed and ridiculed because of his unassuming appearance. Little did the staff know that this same man would return the very next day not as a customer but as their new employer. What follows is an unexpected turn of events that leaves the arrogant salespeople stunned and scrambling as Michael takes control, delivering a powerful lesson in humility that no one saw coming. Michael Chen was no ordinary man, known for his exceptional business acumen and quiet demeanor. He had built an empire through decades of careful investments and strategic business decisions. Despite being one of the wealthiest individuals in the region, Michael rarely displayed his fortune. He lived a simple life, drove an ordinary car, and preferred peaceful evenings at home over lavish social gatherings. It was this unpretentious nature that made him approachable, though few knew about his true financial status. However, Michael was about to find himself in a situation that would test his patience and drive him to take unprecedented action. One brisk afternoon, Michael decided to visit a car dealership in town. His vehicle, though still functioning well, was approaching its 10th year and thought it was time for something new. He had his eye on one of the premium models that the dealership advertised. Despite his preference for modesty, Michael understood the value of quality craftsmanship. When he arrived at the dealership wearing his typical well-worn sweater and comfortable old shoes and blue jeans, the reception he received was anything but professional. The showroom was alive with activity, salespeople in expensive suits catering to younger, more fashionably dressed customers, the sound of engines purring from test drives, and the general excitement of a busy afternoon. Michael quietly entered the showroom, hoping to find assistance. He walked from vehicle to vehicle, admiring their pristine finishes and elegant designs. But after 20 minutes of browsing, not a single staff member had approached him. It was evident that the employees had noticed his presence. Some even cast dismissive glances his way, but they continued to focus their attention on customers who, based on appearance, seemed more likely to make a purchase. One salesperson, a young woman with designer clothing and perfectly styled hair, made brief eye contact with Michael, but quickly turned away, choosing instead to assist the well-dressed couple who entered the showroom. Initially, Michael remained patient. He stood beside the luxury sedan he was interested in, running his fingers along the polished surface, waiting for someone to acknowledge him. But as time passed, he felt increasingly humiliated. The whispered comments from the staff, the cold stares, and the blatant disregard for his presence began to affect him. It wasn't just the poor service, it was a realization that they had judged him solely on his appearance. To them, he was another elderly man who didn't belong in their prestigious establishment. As the minutes ticked by, Michael's patience began to wear thin. He approached the main reception desk where 3 salespeople were engaged in casual conversation. "Excuse me," he asked politely. "I'm interested in purchasing one of your vehicles. Could someone assist me?" The woman behind the counter barely glanced up from her computer. "We're quite busy at the moment," she replied dismissively. "Perhaps you could come back another time." Michael's expression remained neutral, but as he turned to leave, he could clearly hear Sarah and her colleagues huddled together, speaking loudly as if they assumed he couldn't hear them. "Can you believe these people who just wander in?" Sarah laughed, not bothering to lower her voice. "He's probably deaf anyway at that age." "I know, right?" Another salesperson chimed in with a smirk. "Did you see those shoes? Probably hasn't bought anything new since the 90s. Old fool, just here to waste our time and warm himself up," a third added, triggering more laughter from the group. "Like we don't have real customers to deal with." Michael's expression remained neutral, but something shifted inside him. He gave a slight nod and turned to leave, his heart heavy with a mixture of disappointment and determination. Their laughter followed him to the door, and as he walked out of the dealership, he overheard one final comment about time wasters and window shoppers. What the staff didn't realize was that Michael Chen was not someone to be underestimated. The humiliation he experienced that day would not be forgotten easily. He drove away in his old car. He made a silent resolution. This wasn't over. The following morning, Michael returned to the dealership, but this time not as a potential customer. He had spent the evening making calls to his influential business contacts, and within hours he had secured enough backing to purchase the entire dealership. Michael wasn't interested in buying a car anymore. He was interested in owning the whole operation. Sarah and the other judgmental salespeople were unaware of what was about to unfold. They started their workday as usual, except the owner made an announcement that the dealership had been sold and that the new owner was due to arrive this morning. The news created a bit of a chatter amongst the staff members, confused conversations about how nobody knew the dealership was even for sale. Everyone was curious about who the new owner might be. Sarah was brash and bragged to her colleagues that it doesn't matter who the owner is, as it makes no difference to her. The time for the new owner to arrive came round, and everyone was waiting in the showroom. All the employees watched as the previous owner entered the showroom with what appeared to be the new owner. The previous owner made an announcement. "Everybody, I'd like you to meet Michael Chen. He's the new owner." As Michael stepped into the showroom, Sarah's eyes widened with sudden recognition. The very man they had mocked yesterday, the one they had laughed about being deaf and old, was walking through the doors again. She quickly glanced at her colleagues who were still chatting and laughing near the reception desk, completely oblivious to the significance of his return. "Oh my God," she whispered to the salesperson next to her. "That's the old man from yesterday." The smile instantly vanished from her colleague's face as they watched Michael approach with purposeful steps. Sarah approached him this time with a forced smile, her hands fidgeting with her blazer. "Good morning, sir. My name is Sarah. I am your lead salesperson. It's nice to meet you," she announced, her voice wavering slightly as she remembered the cruel jokes about his age and hearing. Michael's face remained neutral as he ignored her introduction and cut her off. "My name is Michael Chen. I am the new owner of this dealership. I'd like to make a few announcements about some changes I have in mind." Sarah's face drained of colour, her hands trembling as she realised her actions towards this man could cost her this job. She looked back at her colleagues, who were still standing by the reception desk, and mouthed "oh no" to them. The same salespeople who had joined in her laughter yesterday now stared back in horror as a realisation dawned on them. Michael Chen had acquired the dealership overnight. "Is something wrong, Sarah?" Michael asked calmly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I trust you can hear me clearly enough? Unlike yesterday when you assumed I was too old and deaf to hear your jokes." A murmur spread through the showroom as other staff members began to notice the commotion. The once proud salespeople who laughed at him the day before now looked at each other in panic, their faces a mix of shame and fear. One of them, the woman who had joked about his shoes, actually dropped her coffee cup, creating a loud clatter in the now silent showroom. "I visited yesterday hoping to buy a car," Michael began, addressing everyone present. "But instead of being treated with dignity, I was ignored, dismissed, and judged based on my appearance. You all made assumptions about me without knowing anything about who I am or what I'm capable of." The staff exchanged nervous glances, their confident demeanours from the previous day now completely vanished. "As of today, I am the new owner of this dealership," Michael continued, "and things are going to change, beginning with the people who work here." He turned to Sarah, who was now visibly uncomfortable. "Sarah, you're terminated, and anyone else who treated me or any customer with similar disrespect will also be dismissed." A stunned silence fell over the room. No one had anticipated this outcome. The very man they mocked and ignored was now their employer. He was not hesitating to implement changes. One by one, Michael began listing the names of staff members he had observed the previous day, dismissing those who had contributed to the toxic atmosphere of the dealership. Those who had shown kindness to others, regardless of their appearance, were retained and promoted to leadership positions. By day's end, nearly half of the staff had been replaced with new hires who understood the importance of treating every customer with respect. Michael had transformed the dealership in a matter of hours, and word quickly spread about the new ownership. The once pretentious and dismissive establishment had become a place known for its exceptional service and integrity, all because of one man's determination to make a statement. As Michael walked out of the dealership, now fully under his control, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He didn't need to flaunt his wealth or demand respect. He earned it. And in the process, he taught the staff a valuable lesson about humility and kindness. The very people who had judged him were now seeking new employment, and the dealership flourished under his leadership. Michael Chen was no ordinary man, and he had just demonstrated exactly why. This is a tale of humiliation, resilience, and unexpected consequences, showing how one man's modest appearance led others to underestimate him. In the end, Michael not only purchased the dealership that had ignored him, but he also transformed it into an establishment where respect is given to every customer, regardless of their appearance. A powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and you never know who might walk through your door next.